Hi everyone, welcome to the Mammoth channel. Mammoth stands for middle-aged man meanders over the horizon. Clever, huh? So you're saying, oh no, not another travel blog. This is hopefully going to be a little bit different. I'm not traveling around the world first class glitzy airlines. I'm not a young influencer traveling to exotic tropical islands and volcanoes. I'm just an ordinary guy. I have an ordinary budget. I'm traveling interesting places, learning interesting history and meeting interesting people, hopefully. And if that sounds like you, then follow along. My first trip is to a place much further south from a sunny but cold England here in the autumn. I'm heading for Gibraltar for a couple of days just to have a look around, see what that's like. I've never been before, and it's going to be an interesting trip, I hope. The weather, unfortunately, doesn't look great in the forecast for the next few days when I'm heading over there. Whereas it should be sunny and warm pretty much all year round, and in fact it is before I get there and after I leave, but not when I'm there. Let's see, hopefully it's going to improve, and we're going to get a nice video that you'll enjoy. Here I am in the departure lounge at Newcastle Airport, waiting to head to Malaga. Looks like it's going to be a very quiet flight. There's only a handful of people in the lounge. Welcome to Malaga Airport. I'm just walking out towards the taxis at the minute. It's oh god, I don't know what time it is. It's about 5 AM. I'm absolutely knackered. Need to get into the city centre and catch my bus to Gibraltar. The taxi driver from the airport was a bit of a boy racer. He enjoyed his dance music. He was gunning his engine every time the beat speeded up, so that was a bit of a joyride from the airport. But here I am at the Malaga bus station. It's 5:30 in the morning, still dark. I'm waiting for my bus to La Linea, which is next to Gibraltar. Leaves in an hour at 6:30, so I'm going to have to try and see if I can find a coffee. I'm in Malaga bus station now, just waiting to catch my bus. I did manage to get a coffee and a nice pan au chocolat, which I'm going to enjoy. It's my breakfast, my desayuno, a café con leche, coffee with milk. And here's the bus. We're just waiting for the driver to turn up, and hopefully we'll be on our way in a few minutes. Here we are in La Linea in southern Spain, very close to Gibraltar. In fact, it's only a few minutes walk to the border. Just got in on the bus from Malaga, and as you can see, I was expecting the weather to be lovely and sunny. It's been sunny all week. It's going to be sunny every day after I've left, but the 2 days I'm going to be in Gibraltar, today's cloudy and tomorrow is due to be peeing down, so it's sod's law, just my luck, but never mind. We're going to have an interesting time in Gibraltar anyway, and I'm going to show you all about it. So we're just heading down towards the border now. La Linea is a fairly gritty industrial town, not particularly well off, certainly not compared to Gibraltar, and a lot of people from La Linea actually commute across the border every day to get into Gibraltar for work and come back in the evening. The reason Gibraltar is such a well-off place is because it's a low tax sort of tax haven. People a bit like Monaco or Jersey or the Isle of Man. Funny how so many British former colonies are tax havens. Now we're approaching the border and the first view of the Rock of Gibraltar. What an amazing sight. It's about over 300 meters tall, and it's looking very dramatic with all the clouds above it. I'm just hoping that the clouds clear shortly because we're going to be going up there in an hour or two, and it would be great to see the views from the top, but I'm not entirely sure whether we're going to have any luck today. Typical luck of the draw, not having nice weather today. Never mind, we're here now. We're going to have a nice time. Woohoo! Welcome to Gibraltar, everyone. We just breezed through the border very quickly on foot there, only took a minute. And now we're approaching one of the most interesting features of Gibraltar, which is that the main road into town actually crosses the airport runway. Space is so constricted here that they had to build the runway for the airport directly across the main road. And so we're now facing a plane either landing or taking off, which is restricting the road, and the road's being closed. Well, I think so anyway. Oh no, there it goes, the barrier's going up. It must have been something else. But whenever there's a plane taking off or landing, you aren't able to proceed. So this is a very difficult runway. You have to have special training to land or take off from here because of the microclimate created by the Gibraltar rock. And the planes often have to divert here because of the very high and unpredictable winds, and have to divert to Malaga, which is not great because it's 2.5 hours away by coach. But that's just the way it works, really. It's a famous airport, and here we are coming to cross the runway. Let's hope there's nothing landing anyway, otherwise our trip to Gibraltar is going to be much shorter than expected. And we're walking through the old city walls into the heart of the old town of Gibraltar, and this is taking us out into Casemate Square, which is the heart of the old town. As you can see, it's surrounded by a lot of the old colonial buildings. This area was actually constructed after the original Islamic city that was built here was destroyed after many sieges, and it's now surrounded by tourist shops and restaurants. But this is the piazza, the central square of Gibraltar, Casemate Square, and you can see the rock up above as well, towering and looming over, especially in this weather. It's proper looming. We're leaving Casemate Square past the classic British red phone box and heading down the main shopping street, which is very imaginatively called Main Street, but in Spanish it's called Calle Real, Royal Street, which sounds a bit better. In fact, there's loads of people speaking Spanish here in the streets. A lot of people who live here are of Spanish descent, as well as obviously plenty of British people, but you get a real mix here from what I've gathered in the half an hour I've been in Gibraltar. And looks like a classic British high street in some ways, but it's also the architecture is very Mediterranean, with the shutters and a different atmosphere really to what you would find in Britain. Just coming to the end of Royal Street, going past the British fish and chips shop, of course. This was a very nice street, much posher than the typical British high street. And here we are approaching the government buildings, going past a British red post box with a VR symbol on it. That means it's been there since the days of Queen Victoria. And this is a classic view down the main street of the old town. Just going past the government buildings here. Government of Gibraltar with the flags flying.
What are you drinking?
And passing a pub called the Angry Friar. What could be more British than that, eh? And I've arrived in Hotel Bristol, which is a very old hotel right in the heart of the old town. You can tell it's old because all the floors are different levels. And I'm going to show you my room, which is nice enough. It's, you know, seen better days to an extent, but no problem. Nice and clean. Double bed, fridge, aircon, bathroom, shower. All fine. I guess it's a 3-star hotel. It's £85 a night for one person, which you know, is basically the cheaper end of what you can get in Gibraltar. Of course, you can stay across the border at the Spanish town of La Linea, where I was this morning, where you can find hotels for half that price. But I wanted to stay in Gibraltar just to soak up the atmosphere a bit more. So here I am in Bristol. There are loads of steep hills climbing up away from the old town, and these beautiful staircases, streets, which have strange names: Shakery's Passage, Fraser's Ramp. Quite a few of the old colonial style early 20th century buildings are, you know, still in a poor condition, but a number of them have also been improved. This is what this is a classic Mediterranean style alleyway here. And needs good thigh muscles to get up all of these stairs. It's very Mediterranean, reminds me quite a lot of Greece, just the houses aren't all whitewashed. As you can see from the massive Sacred Heart church behind me, religion plays a really important role in Gibraltarian society. The British community tend to be Anglicans, the Spanish community tend to be Catholics. There's a significant Jewish community, and of course, since we're only a few miles across the water from Morocco, there's also quite a lot of Arab Muslims living here. But I have to say, from what I've seen so far, there doesn't seem to be any tension. They seem to have made a tolerant society living side by side, which should be quite an example to us all, really. But one thing that all of these communities do agree on is that they're all British. And what better example of that than the Union Jack steps, which have come to symbolise the underlying British identity of Gibraltar, as seen through multiple referendums. The most recent referendum in 2002 about sharing sovereignty with Spain was rejected by 99% to 1%. However, the Brexit referendum went exactly the other way. 96% voted against Brexit because, of course, they know that they can't survive without Spain being directly opposite them. So it's a bit of a split personality here, but I think everyone here really has Britishness as part of their identity. I mean, even down on the main shopping street of the city, there's barriers saying no surrender, no, never surrender. It's very much like Belfast, really, in terms of that sort of aspect. So we're walking up the Devil's Gap path here above the city, which leads up to one of the entrances to the nature reserve, which covers the top half of the rock. Hopefully we're going to get up there. Going to have to make a decision about it because the weather's not great. It's cloudy on the top, I think. But look at the views from here. Absolutely amazing. You can see how important shipping is to the Gibraltarian economy. They have obviously a lot of ships just traveling back and forth across the Straits of Gibraltar, but they also do ship repairs, and they also have a ship registry here, which because they're a low tax area, you know, the wealthy often register their ships here to avoid paying tax. Look at the views there, even though it's not very sunny, still spectacular. And I'm walking up towards the top of the nature reserve here. These guys in the cable car are doing it the easy way, unlike me. Oh, and they've got a little friend watching them as well. Bit of monkey business in Gibraltar. Oh, that's right. Show how much you care about us humans, eh? It's spectacular up here. You can get a great view, and I bet the people in the cable car have got a great view as well. The Barbary macaques on Gibraltar Rock are a major tourist attraction. They came originally from Morocco, and legend has it that if they ever disappear from Gibraltar, the British will follow soon after. And during World War II, the numbers had dwindled so low that Winston Churchill himself became concerned it would affect morale at this critical military site. And so he had some more macaques secretly shipped across from Morocco to help bolster the morale of the population. And 80 years later, they're still here. Here we are, gorillas in the mist on top of Gibraltar Rock near the summit. It's a bit scary. These ones don't look too bad. Oh, this great big thug of a Barbary macaque coming towards me. Uh-oh. I'm going to get out the way to the side. Oh, no, that's fine. He was good. Here we are at Skywalk, looking out over the east face of the Rock of Gibraltar on a magnificent day. I'm sure you can enjoy the view on a day like this. Absolutely amazing. But what can you do? It's the luck of the draw, and I've come a long way to see this view, but it wasn't to be. So have a look at the view anyway whilst we're here, and there you go. That's the best you're going to get today. The beautiful east face of the Rock of Gibraltar, sheer face, looking down to the sea and the beaches. Magnificent. That's one thing that this place shares with its mother country. The weather, the British weather. Maybe the people here should vote for unifying with Spain. We might get some better weather. We're now inside the World War II tunnels complex, which was used to protect military installations during World War II from being bombed. This was an engineering workshop which was on 2 levels, and it had lots of different military equipment in here being repaired away from the risk of being bombed. This is an exhibition about the build-up to war and the first days and months of the war. These are the castle steps leading from the old Moorish castle above the town down into the town centre. It's great that they've still managed to keep a lot of the character of the old town, including a lot of the old original houses, unlike outside the town walls, where basically Gibraltar, New Gibraltar, is simply a soulless resort, high-rise apartment blocks, offices, you know, investment schemes and so on. It's a bit disappointing. It's a typical Mediterranean resort combined with you know, with a high-tech business district. So, you know, that's got no character, but the old town is definitely worth an explore because it's still really interesting and got lots of nice corners and buildings and trees and churches. It's really kept its spirit and its character. So I definitely recommend you having a look around. Just have to make sure that you've got good thigh muscles, that's all. Here I am in Casemate Square after dark, looking around for somewhere to eat. It's quite nice here. It's starting to rain though again, so I'm gonna have to pack this in and make it quite a short clip. But it's not very busy, but it's only 7 o'clock on a Tuesday, so probably not gonna get busy until later. But I'm gonna go off and find some fish and chips now. I think what more Gibraltarian dish can you have than fish and chips, eh? Good morning, Gibraltar. It's weekday morning, 8 o'clock, my second day here, and I'm just going out for some breakfast. It's 8 o'clock, so people are going to work. I'm just walking through the streets here. Look at this beautiful old building with a 1900 date above the door. It's really nice walking through the streets here. And what I like as well is that there's a lot of small shops, small family-owned, hole-in-the-wall groceries and little fast food places. You know, I find that's a very healthy society that has a lot of small family-owned shops still, unlike in Britain where, you know, the supermarkets and the online shopping and the out-of-town mega stores have really sort of sucked the life out of a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of towns and a lot of high streets. So, you know, I think it's very good. It's a bit like when I was in Malta, and Gibraltar is I'm finding it very similar to Malta. Apart from the fact that they rhyme, they also have a very similar sort of culture and society here where people, you know, do know each other and they do shop at their local corner shops. And they even buy clothes from family-owned shops and stuff like that, you know, which is unheard of in Britain these days. You know, most British high streets are just full of chain stores or else, you know, derelict because all of the family shops have shut down. So it's good to see here in Gibraltar that there's still a strong family and neighbourhood fabric. Narrow streets in Gibraltar. When you leave the high street, Main Street, everything starts heading uphill, of course, because we're heading towards the Rock. Everyone's got motorbikes and scooters here because the streets are so narrow and it's really awkward to get up. A lot of them in a car, and of course there's no parking space for most people, so a lot of people have got scooters. Amazing old buildings. Probably quite a few of them might have been garrison buildings back in the day for the huge military garrison that there was on Gibraltar. Eating a nice cherry strudel and cappuccino for breakfast. Welcome to Europa Point, the southernmost tip of Gibraltar. We're passing the monument to Władysław Sikorski, the Polish wartime leader, on the left here. And as we approach the edge of the cliff, look what we can see in the distance. It's Africa. It's Morocco, the mountains, the Rif Mountains of Morocco, straight ahead. The Strait of Gibraltar are not that much wider than the English Channel, so a strong swimmer could make it across. Do you fancy it sometime? And the other interesting thing here at the southern tip of Gibraltar is the spectacular red and white lighthouse, which was built in the mid-1800s and is owned by Trinity House Corporation, an organisation that has links to my hometown, Newcastle upon Tyne, back in Britain. You can also see to the left the spectacular peak of the Rock of Gibraltar, with the batteries on top, the wartime batteries, which you know, the top of the Rock of Gibraltar has been fortified for almost 300 years by the British, but was has had a garrison and been fortified for many centuries before that, including by the Muslim population. Of course, the name Gibraltar itself comes from Jebel al-Tariq, the mountain of Tariq, the leader of the Muslims who invaded successfully and occupied Gibraltar in the 8th century AD. And 7% of the population of Gibraltar at the minute is Muslim. And you can see also below the peak of the rock there's the King Fahd Mosque, built by the Saudi royal family, and you can tell it's a royal mosque because it has a golden circle on the top rather than a crescent. So that's a spectacular location for it as well. So I'm very pleased that we've had some good sunshine here, because the forecast is for heavy thunderstorms later. So I've taken my chances coming out here and making sure that we've managed to get some good views of the spectacular Europa Point. This is the Pillars of Hercules monument. It's not an ancient Greek ruin, but it does indicate where the ancient Greeks believed was the end of the world. Past here out into the Atlantic was unknown. It was the site of Atlantis, many believed, back in those days. And the ancient Greeks believed that Hercules had placed these two pillars at the edge of the known world, the Rock of Gibraltar and Jebel Musa over in Morocco. And this myth was passed on to the Romans as well, who also believed that there was no more beyond here, and was dragons and sea serpents and awful creatures out into the Atlantic. They never ventured past the Straits of Gibraltar and Spain. Gibraltar has a bit of a love-hate relationship with Spain. Of course, Britain seized the rock from Spain in the 1700s, so there's that bit of a historic rivalry. But at the same time, as I said, there's lots of Spanish people live here, and the former colony, well, still a type of a colony, I suppose, is economically tied to Spain in many ways. That was illustrated most strongly during the Franco era, when Spain was ruled by the dictator, the Generalissimo Francisco Franco, who was very much trying to seize Gibraltar back and to starve Gibraltar into submission. And actually for about 15 years during the 70s, the border was entirely closed by Franco, and then actually after Franco died, and caused great hardship to the people of Gibraltar, not just economic hardship, when everything had to be shipped in direct from Britain. Nothing could come to or from Spain. Planes, boats were the only way to get out of Gibraltar or back into Gibraltar. And people still remember that. It was about 50 years ago, but it's still, you know, there'll be a lot of people still remember that time. And so they realize that they have to get on with Spain, they have to be tied to Spain, and they've now signed an agreement because, of course, 96% of Gibraltarians voted against Brexit. They're not, you don't get turkeys voting for Christmas after all. And they've now created a new special deal with Spain and with the EU, which is going to basically retain that prosperity, that economic and trade link, which the people of Britain threw away in 2016. But they're still going to have that in Gibraltar and maintain the economic links and the the freedom of movement in effect. They're going to join the Schengen free travel zone very shortly. Here I am outside the Wembley bar on Scud Hill, which is a little bit of a balance problem because the seats outside are tilting downwards, so I'm sort of having to be a bit careful. Imagine what you'd be like after a few pints, but I just stopped for one after quite a warm walk around Europa Point and back to town pretty much all the way. So cheers all, here's to Gibraltar. Walking alongside the city walls here, on the outside of the city walls. Actually up until the late 1800s, the sea actually came all the way up to the city walls. It's only since then that land outside the city walls has been reclaimed and probably doubled, at least, if not trebled, the amount of land available for development, which has been a massive economic boost for Gibraltar, obviously. We're going to now cut inside the city walls. And what's happened is that basically a lot of the rooms on the inside of the city walls, which were used previously to house troops defending Gibraltar, are now used for restaurants and gyms and small businesses, as we'll see in a moment. So here we go, a gym operating inside troops' quarters in the defensive wall, in the gap in between the outer and the inner defensive walls in Gibraltar. I wonder what the troops from the Victorian era would have made of this, knowing that their quarters would be used for people punching bags and exercising to pop music. Well, it's finally started bucketing down as promised, so I'm going to be spending the afternoon looking around churches, such as the Holy Trinity Church here in the centre of the city. Quite impressive. And doing some window shopping at galleries and shops inside the city walls. In the shopping centre, decorated for Halloween. Tacky souvenir shops. You can't leave without one after all, can you? Then the Catholic Cathedral of St Mary the Crowned, which has a beautiful courtyard with Spanish style tiles outside. There's the Gibraltar Museum here, which I've heard is quite interesting. It's worth an hour perhaps, but the ticket's £15, so call me a cheapskate, but I'm not going to be spending £15 for an hour in a museum. So instead of spending £15, I've come instead to spend £5 on a delicious looking pistachio donut and a cappuccino. Food and drink in Gibraltar seems to be 10 to 20% cheaper than in Britain, including beer, of course, the most important thing. So basically, my summary: is it worth coming to Gibraltar? If you're coming just for the town, I would say probably not. There's other medieval fortified towns around the Mediterranean that are very similar or better. For example, Malta is a really impressive place. I visited there, and it has, you know, a similar sort of medieval fortified city, castles, the World War II history and so on, but it has a lot more because it's a bigger place than Gibraltar. Now if you're in the area, if you're in Malaga already, then it's definitely worth coming on a trip to Gibraltar. But the main reason to come here is not the town, but it's the rock. It's the nature reserve on top of the rock, and all of the the monkeys, the fortifications, the tunnels, the history on top of the rock itself, and not forgetting the spectacular views that I didn't see yesterday, as you'll have seen earlier in the video, because of the terrible weather, which was really disappointing, but can't be helped. And the fee to get into the nature reserve and to go along the top of the rock is £30, which is maybe sounds a little bit expensive, but I think it's well worth it, because you get to see a lot, and you get to see the monkeys and the amazing views. So in terms of value, I think £30 is good value, plus £15 if you want to take the cable car. And if you are going up and you want to see the view of the rock face from the skywalk, make sure you go up sort of as early as possible, because the sun rises in the east, so it's the east face. So obviously you have to be up probably at the skywalk by about 10 o'clock, I would say, in the morning in the summer, and maybe a bit before that in the winter. So yeah, I've had a nice time here for a couple of days. Been an interesting place, and get yourselves down to Gibraltar.